All right, so in another video, I was talking about why you cannot lower your prices in the wintertime or when you're slowing down. So in this video, I want to actually show you actual numbers. Okay, so this is the profit planner. It's nothing much to look at, but it's a program we had made. And if you're looking for something like this, there's a link in the description. But what you do with this is you put in the jobs, right? So in this instance, I just put in if we go into here, I just put in three different types of jobs, right? Just to kind of give you an example of what's going on. So you can basically put in, break this down, but you can put in how much the total price, the materials, labor, total days, who it was referred by, and then basically I'll show you how much, the profit and percent and all that kind of stuff. And then you can also track your own personal hours. With this, it's 50, everything's in minutes. So 15 minutes, you're just kind of estimating how much time you spent for this particular job. So that way you can figure out, okay, I personally spent, 14 and a half hours and I'm making about $102 an hour. Okay. So anyway, I put those in there. And here's why you cannot drop your prices when you're slow. What we're going to do is go into the future planner, and this is what actually helps you to see what's going to happen when you make adjustments within your business. Okay. So we're going to go profit adjuster, all job types. So what we see here on the current job averages, the average job is about $5,000. The average profit 1667. The profit percent is 33%. And then we're basing the jobs per week. So this is basically telling us we need to book a little bit under 4 jobs per week to break even. The way it knows that is we're basically putting in our business and personal expenses. So we put in the business expenses here. You are not including the labor for your, like the guys that are actually installing whatever you do. This is for everything behind the scenes. So, vehicles, warehouse, insurance. If you have a receptionist or someone to answer the phones, like those people you do put in here, as long as they're not actually producing the labor. Just make sure if you do add employees in there, you want to add in 40% just to cover like workman's comp and insurance and all that kind of stuff. Okay. And then same thing with your personal expenses, put all that stuff in. You also want to make sure that you include 20%. Just because what's actually happening is, this profit, you're going to have to pay about 20% in taxes. So once you have all that information, again, it's going to plug this in for you. So instead of saying I need to book more jobs, now it's like, okay, I need to book about 4 jobs per week. Okay. We're working about 43 hours and this is how much I'm making per hour. Okay. These are just made up numbers. Now we're going to change the profit percent. Okay. So right now we're at 33%. Now you're going to pretend you're slow and you're like, you know what? I want to go, what's 28? Okay. So that means instead of charging $5,000, now you're taking about 267 off of that. So you're, charging just say $4,700. Doesn't seem like a big change, right? Well, what happens is you go from needing just under 4 jobs to like 4.5 jobs. Okay. So that means you need about a 3/4 of a job or about 38 extra jobs per year. Well, what ends up happening is you end up working, or I'm sorry, you have less leads coming in. So if you normally have 20 leads coming in and you're booking 4 jobs, well, if when it slows down, you're only, 10 and 15 leads. Well, how are you going to book, an extra job per week, but you have less leads coming in? It's just not going to happen. The other thing that happens is you go from, currently you're working about 43 hours a week based off of that $5,000 number. Well, you're going to have to go to 51 hours per week because you're charging less because you need to book more jobs. So, you're working an extra 8 hours per week or an average of 425 hours per year. Okay. The other thing is if you kept everything the same, so you're booking the same amount of jobs, which is probably going to happen, or you might book slightly less. What's going to happen by you lowering your pricing is you're going to actually lose an additional $1,200 per week or 63-ish $1,000 per year. This is exactly why you cannot drop your pricing. Again, if you're looking for this, there's a lot of other stuff that we can do. So again, if you haven't seen the other videos, the other one is a job type adjuster. I would highly suggest looking into this kind of stuff. What it does is it breaks down the percentages of each job. Now I only put in 3 jobs, so that's why everything's at 33%. And then over here, you see what the average profit is and the average hours. So you can already see here, this one's the most profitable and the least amount of hours. So most people aren't going to just give up one type of service, So what'll end up happening is you can finagle these numbers. So instead of 33% for cedar, like let's see if we start advertising more and get more cedar jobs and we put that at 50, right? And let's just say the other two are at 25. Okay. So what happens now? You're doing the same amount of jobs, everything else, nothing really changed. You're just changing the percentages. But instead of needing just under 4 jobs, now it's like 3.5. So you're saving, about half a job a week because you're more profitable, because this job is more profitable than, the chain link or the aluminum. And then what ends up happening is because they're more profitable and you need less jobs, well, you go from about 43 hours to 35. You're saving yourself 8 hours per week. Again, there's all types of things in here. But what this does is it allows you to see what's going to actually happen before you make those changes. So instead of just doing things for the hell of it, well, then you can do it in here. It's kind of like a crystal ball, and you're like, oh shit, if I do this, then this is going to happen. Because a lot of times we don't have it. You're like, oh, I'm just going to drop my prices to get more jobs. Well, as you see in here, you can't just do that because you're going to need more jobs. You're going to end up working more hours, and you can already tell if you're not booking enough jobs as it is by lowering your pricing, and now you need to book an extra job per week. It's definitely not happening. So that's why it's a bad idea. If anything, what you want to do is start advertising. So if you go into the advertising aspect, if you're not advertising, you really should, in my personal opinion. What's going to happen here is if you're advertising on just say Google or Facebook, you already know about what your ad or your lead cost is. So we're just going to pretend it's $35. Okay. Now the leads per job, just pretend you're booking 10%. So you need 10 leads to book one job. Okay. So what it shows you is that your average profit per job is about $1,600. Your ad cost per job is going to cost you $350 for that customer. Now, most people will say, I'm absolutely not going to spend $350 for a customer, but it's a customer you weren't going to have anyway, right? So because you spent $350, you end up making an additional $1,300 after you paid this $350. Make sense? So then we come down here for the ad budget. So now that you know your cost per lead and your leads per job, well, now it's a numbers game. It's just simple math. So if you need $500 or you're spending $500 per month, what's going to end up happening is you're going to make an extra about $1,800 or almost $1,900 per month or $22,000 per year. And if you're like me, well, if 500 is good, well, what about 3,500? And this is where everything gets exciting because it's now $13,000 in additional profit after you spent your $3,500. So in total, you're making really, about $17,000, but then you subtract the 35. So then you're getting about 13.2. For the year, it's $158,000. Now, the key thing to remember, this is not sales. Like this is not an extra, $13,000 in sales. This is $13,000 in gross profit that goes directly to your pocket or pays off all your debt or whatever else you have going on. So it's super helpful. To use something like this. It's $27 a month, free trial for the first 30 days. And like I said, you can find it in the description. And, if you want any other changes, let me know because we use this for my own company, but we're moving on to another program that'll be released soon. But if there's things you want to see, let me know and I can take care of that. And also, if you have any questions, basically what I can do is go in here. You'll have your tutorial. So you want to watch this first. Basically, just click on it. You got your video, watch that. And then it tells you how the system works, how to add jobs, how to add expenses. And then next, I'll just do like the future planner and stuff like that. But again, hopefully this helps. Again, you cannot drop your prices when you're slow because it's just going to cause all kinds of issues. And then what's going to happen is you're just going to basically put yourself further in debt because, again, instead of needing 4 jobs, now you need 5 jobs. And then instead of working 40 hours, now you're working 50 hours. And again, you're trying to do that on less leads. So you're not going to book as many jobs. Anyway. Hope you have, found this helpful. If you did, please like, subscribe, send it to a person that needs help as well because it's simple stuff, but it's a different train of thought than most people have when it comes to a business. So again, the future planner, it's kind of like a crystal ball, so you can see what the hell is going to happen before you actually change anything. And again, if anything, going back to this, if we're at 33%. What happens when you start increasing your pricing? So again, real quick, $333 we're adding. So you're only going from $5,000 to $5,300. But what ends up happening is you end up needing from almost 4 to 3.2. So you're saving yourself about, 0.6 of a job, but you're going from 43 to 36 hours. So you're saving yourself 7 hours per week, or 371 hours per year, just because you raise your prices 300. So again, that's why you do not lower your prices. If anything, if you're not busy enough, then you should have been advertising or spend time on social media, or if you haven't done the Google My Business optimization, that has to be done as well, because we have personally received at least, for this year, about 4,000 phone calls from that alone. Have an awesome day.